Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tony Cardenas, and this is the Indy Real Estate Market Weekly Update. Today I'm sitting here with Kyle Morris with FC Tucker, Shelley Walters with EXP, and, well, Justin Griffith's not with us today because he's out showing some houses down on Mass Avenue we just found out about early this morning. So, hey, Kyle. Hey, Shelley. How you guys doing?
It's hot. It's
Hey,
really,
Tony.
really hot.
It is really hot out today. But hey, you know, the market is really changing drastically. It's like, man, is this thing turning upside down in a good way, I kind of think, because people are getting ready to have a lot more choices on looking at homes. They just don't have to go into one and say, I got to buy it now. Tell me what's going on, Kyle.
I think a lot of people are concerned that, you know, for a seller, it's turning into a bad market. For a buyer, it's turning into a good market. We're so far off from that. Like, we're just getting to a normal market. We just haven't been in it in a couple of years. So even if you're a seller, this is a good place to be in. You're going to actually be able to have more people into your home without as much anxiety, without as much rush. Usually on the other side of that seller is a buyer.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
I mean, it's good for them.
Exactly.
Right, Shelley?
Yeah, they can at least sell their house and know they can go find something maybe.
Right. Maybe even be contingent at this point, right? So,
Right,
I mean,
right.
there's just a lot that has changed, and I think people are concerned about it, but this is actually a good thing. This is what needed to happen. This is something we've been talking about for weeks now. I think we knewe we would be here by the end of the summer. I think the pace of it was a little bit different than what we anticipated, but at the same time, this is exactly, I mean, the sooner the better, quite honestly, because then it'll stabilize quicker, and then we can just get back onto everything being
Yeah,
normal.
I mean, there's nothing bad going on. It's
No.
just changing, and it's changing back to maybe a balanced market. Maybe not quite there yet, but sellers aren't getting 20 offers anymore, 15 offers anymore. They may be getting 2 or 3, but they're still doing well and selling. And so it's not bad. There's nothing bad going on. It's just changing.
Right. Like a normal market is supposed to be 6 months worth of inventory, right? And so right now depending on the city that you're in, you're looking at, 2/3 of a month. I've seen some that are like just creeping over a month worth of inventory. So this is where we need to be at to get back to, they call it a normal market for a reason. Like, that's where both parties are basically equally represented.
Right, and the buyer's market is not here yet, obviously. It's still a seller's market, but buyers are having more choices. Just this past Saturday, I was able to go back out with some buyers, and I showed 8 houses to my buyers. I don't know the last time I did that, but we had a lot to choose from, and they had a first and second choice. So when they made their offer, if that didn't go through, they could, go to a second offer. I don't know when the last time I did that was.
Right. You had the luxury, instead of like every single house you walk through, it's like, is this the one or not? Because we need to know today, basically, right?
Right.
Which is just put buyers in a really bad situation. And then honestly, sellers didn't even realize it put them in a bad situation because people are making these huge financial decisions in the span of hours, right?
Right, and then coming back on market, and we had a lot of buyer's remorse too. And I'm looking at those stats. When we do look at our stats, I see some of those changes happening as well. So I know you and I both looked at the stats for, like we have always done in the past couple weeks, but we're starting to bring in more of that information because we're seeing things just starting to change back on market.
Well, Shelley,
and
you
stuff
just
like that.
said you showed some houses. Was it yesterday? And how many houses?
Saturday.
Saturday. How many houses did these people have the opportunity to look at?
We were able to get into 8 houses in their price point in Carmel, and
8 houses. That's a big change.
In a
Big
price
change.
point too, not just 8
Right.
houses.
What was
Right.
what was the price point?
we were at 450 to 550.
Yeah, I saw a lot of those on the market.
And
which is like the hardest market to be in Carmel.
Yeah, but we were able to look and like I said, it's different, but it's not bad. So everybody's, maybe hopefully not getting upset about it or worried about what the market we're in. I mean, the interest rates are going up. That's been surprising, and inflation and stock market. So there's so much that comes into play with that. But we are seeing a lot of availability for homes for people to go out and look and see. And as you said, Kyle, not to make those rash decisions on a dime, and then 2 weeks later go, what the heck did we just do?
Well, the interest rates are going to shy some people out of the market a little bit. I mean, they're thinking, what's going on? You have their investments going down a little bit. But, there's buyers out there, and that's why this market is changing, okay? You got rates going up. People that are selling their homes, I don't know what the percentage of it is, but they're going to be buying another home too. Mm-hmm. Okay, they're getting more choices in the $600,000, $700,000, and $800,000 category. The builders are still building. I see it up here in Carmel every day. So change is good. At the end of the day, change is good, I think.
And we were talking about before with interest rates and the market and, stock market or whatever you want to talk about as far as like the economy in general, there's going to be a pullback, right? But generally what my life experience is, I know that, you guys are like 1 to 2 years older than me, but I just think people, but anyways,
add a 10 and a 5 there.
But I think people, it's not necessarily always like change freaks people out. People are more concerned about when is the change going to stop, right? Like, people kind of knew that this was going to happen, but the fear is like, is this the beginning or is this the end? Is this going to be at 8%, 10%? Is the stock market going to drop another 40%? Like, is gas going to go up another $2? When it goes up 50 cents, people notice it, but they're more concerned about where's it going to end, right? And so when people are trying to acclimate to that, people pulled back.
Right? Well, and I think we also can say that we do know buyers have pulled back. There are buyers that have just said, I need to sit out and see what's going on. There's so much that's happening in their life, either watching their stock accounts go down or watching interest rates go higher. Right. Have to sit back and think, is this
But also you can level that out. I think that you got your stock market going down. Okay, the houses are starting to leveling off a little bit. So, maybe you can go in and get that $400,000 home you've been looking for, that 425, that 435. Okay, there's give and take in this market. It's like buying stocks. There's some good values out there. You just got to look through them and jump on them when they're available. These 435 houses in Carmel and 455 and 485. You know what? You don't see those sitting around very long, and they're starting to sit around where people have choices. So they gotta jump the fence and make an offer on one of these. And if they're only putting down 20%, if they can put down 20%, then it's not a bad deal right now. There are other mortgage products out there that people can do to save a dime for 7 years. You have ARM, adjustable rate mortgages, that you can do. They're not all that great right now, but they are a little bit less. But it just depends what their appetite is for a mortgage payment. And you do have cash buyers out there too.
You still do have that. And to kind of both of your points, the specific houses, they're still going to be aggressive, and you're still going to get possibly over list. You'll probably get 3 to 5 offers instead of 17 offers. But to your point, like that $400,000 house, well, sometimes in this current market, that's actually a 385 house that was overpriced, and you still may be able to get it for 385. I've seen more stuff sell under list in the past 2.5, 3 weeks than I have in probably 2 years.
Right. And some of the 8 houses just Saturday, going back to just my one example, a couple of them had been on the market for over 30 days. Yeah. And so, my conversation with them is this one is definitely not going to go over list anymore, and it's probably not going to sell for list anymore. But, these houses are sitting, they're going to go for under list. And that just is getting back to the way we used to be. It's like, if you've priced it too high, it's going to sit and you're going to get, less than list. So I see a lot of price drops happening.
Well, I can tell you right now, these comps are going to be changing drastically.
I don't know. I mean, it depends
in
on
6 months from now.
Well, I can definitely see 8 to 10% adjustment for
absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
They're not going to be going down. I don't want to think anybody think that the comps are going to start sliding downward. They're just going to maybe level off a little
bit.
That's
correct.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just where it's plateaued basically, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
well, here's where the real truth comes in. We're talking about the market and the changes and everything. Here's what I'd like to kick off. Shelley, let's go through the stats and let's start with Carmel. How many homes in the last few days, or is it 7 days, right?
Yeah, you go back
in the last 7
days
have been listed in Carmel, Indiana.
Yeah, so this past 7 days, only 46 were listed. 25 of those 46 did pend, so we still have 21 of those active. But right now in Carmel, we have 105 homes on the market from any price point. So there's 105 out there to look at, and anywhere in Carmel. The average price is $528,000. But of all the pendings that are there right now, including any of the pendings just sitting on the market right now, it's 11 days on market. So the days on market are going up. And one of the other things I found interesting was in the past 7 days, 5 homes came back on the market in Carmel, and 13 of them had a price reduction. So these are things we have not been seeing.
Right. What are we doing for
Westfield?
Yeah, let's go Westfield.
They had 37 listed, so again, a little bit less than we've been seeing. Then 18 of those are still active. 57. And 18 of those are still active. In Westfield, there are a total of 88 homes on the market, so there's a lot there for them.
There's some good inventory.
Lots of
people to-
inventory. Yep.
Right.
The pendings that we currently have on the market in Westfield is 16 days on market. And back on market in Westfield, there were 3 homes that hit the market again, and 9 of those homes that are on the market were reduced in price. So we're starting to see just things, I don't know, just a little bit more different. They're not flying off the shelves, and we're starting to have to adjust our prices. We're starting to have to see people that are changing their mind, or inspections. I think one of the reasons, Kyle, maybe why do we go back on the market? Inspections is one of the reasons, which we come back to. Inspections were not in play as much because we could hardly even, get the sellers to do anything. But it looks like maybe people are walking due to inspections again.
Yep.
Okay. And what do we got for Scienceville?
In Scienceville, again, only 20 were listed, pending of them. Right now, there's 11 of those, so 9 are still available. Total in Scienceville, only 34. That little town over there, just 34 active, but there, is some choice. I mean, we were down to 2 or 3 at a time. So days on market in Scienceville for all pending right now is 16. There weren't any that went back on the market. 8 homes had a reduced price. So that is happening there.
Okay. Kyle, let's go on your side of the world.
So Fishers, we had 67 listings go on the market in the past 7 days. Anywhere from 169,000 to 2.9 million. Obviously, there's a couple that were above. There was 2 that were above 2 million. So the average was a little bit up. If you remove those out of there a little bit, the average price point is about $420,000. So, but we're seeing the same thing there. It's interesting, as I'm listening to Shelley and the numbers. Fishers has historically been, at least for us since we've been doing this, when we're talking about north side suburbs, right? Because you got to remove Justin, because in Metro Indy is a bigger area.
Right.
Fishers has been the area where we see the most listings, quite honestly, and it's because of the development that's gone on there, the infrastructure that's gone on there. They've seen a huge increase in pricing, and there's a ton of retail that's gone up there. So of those 67 listings, 31 of those are still active today. 36 of them pended, so more pended than actually that are still active. But the interesting thing, 25 of there was 25 that pended that had been on the market over 7 days. And then there's 78 total on the market in Fishers. 47 of them have been on the market over 7 days. And so when I go through Noblesville,
that's a big change.
That's a big change. So both of them actually, of all of the currently active listings, over 50% have been on the market over 7 days.
Okay.
Right? Which is interesting.
And go ahead, continue with your market.
Okay. And then in Noblesville, we had 42 listings go on the market. Price points between $211,000 and $1.9 million. The average is about $388,000. 27 of them are still active. 15 pended of those 42. And then we also had 15 that pended in the past 7 days that were on the market over 7 days. And then there's 72 active listings in Noblesville right now. 45 of them have been on the market over 7 days.
Okay. And I just handed you off Justin's report. If you could...
I have to talk in Justin's voice? I don't know.
Try to.
He's got a way better voice.
I know, he's got a really deep voice.
So
this information is brought to you by Justin Griffith with Keller Williams here in the Indy metro market. But Kyle with FC Tucker is going to bail him out today.
So in Broad Ripple, we had 8 new listings. 2 of them are still available, right? So 6 of them pended. The average price point is just shy of $440,000. And there were 6 sales this week for an average price point of $243,000. Meridian Kessler, we had 22 new listings. 12 of those are still available. The average price in Meridian Kessler is $686, but one of those is 1.8, so it bumps that average up, obviously.
Absolutely.
So I try to take that into account when we're looking at some of these numbers, because one really big listing can offset, by a ton, right?
Right.
There were 2 closings this week in Meridian Kessler, and the average price for those were $236,000, which actually seems a little bit low for Meridian Kessler. Yeah. So
Everything you're saying, I'm just like really amazed at the amount.
I think it was a garage, so it was probably an empty lot. And then Bates Hendricks, we had 3 new listings. One of them is still active at $100,000, and there were no closings in Bates Hendricks. And then Fountain Square, there's quite a few actually. There's 10 new listings. 8 of them pended, 2 are still available. Average price is about $190,000. 4 closings this week for $322,000, which is interesting. So if you think about that, the average price was $187,000, but the closings are 322. So
Yeah.
you can tell, I mean, that area is seeing a lot of renovation. And so you can tell literally the difference of the ones that are being purchased pre-renovations and the ones what they're closing
Absolutely.
at. So specifically with Fountain Square, you talk about Bates Hendricks, you can kind of see that stuff. So even like Bates Hendricks, you know, the one that's still active at 100K, you know, that's going to get renovated and that's going to sell in the 3s to 4s, right?
Of course.
So,
But they got to put a lot of money into it and make it happen.
yep. But lumber is going down.
Yeah, lumber is going down. I did see some of that in the Wall Street Journal. And so what do you guys think about, okay, we're getting more inventory out here, okay? A lot more days on market. Now, what do you think is going to happen to the building market? Like the homes that are selling for 450, 5, 7,
So
in that range. What do you think is going to happen? Are these guys going to have a little bit tougher time now? Or are they going to get back to like, are the builders going to get back to like, hey, we're going to start throwing in? Remember years ago, you'd say, we're going to throw in a half a basement or throw something in. What are we going to see?
Basement for free.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. What are we going to see?
I don't think we're going to see any
I don't
changes
either.
in
Not
the
like
building
that.
inventory.
I did see though when I was going over the stats, Fisher's in particular had a lot of new construction that came into play in that number. I know they've got a bunch of land that they're cleaning out right now over by me where they're just starting to level it out, take the topsoil. So, I mean, that stuff is, you know, a year out already.
Right.
I don't know, though. It's really kind of interesting. I think builders will acclimate to the adjustment in the market. I do think maybe they might start throwing a little bit better incentives with, you know, closing costs or I don't know if they'll throw in
anything.
Well, they can't throw in a lot because if they,
Yeah.
back in the day when they gave you a refrigerator or a washer or dryer, they can't even get them, so they
Yeah,
can't
they don't know
throw
what the
any of
price
this
is
stuff.
gonna be,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right.
So I don't think that there's going to be a lot of changes for them.
Exactly.
I think they still have a
Well,
good market.
I did hear this morning one that their incentive was they locked in a rate for the rest of the year that is lower than the current prime rate, and I don't know how they're doing that.
What do you mean?
So they said this builder in particular was like through the rest of the year we're locked in at like 4.85.
Well,
maybe
maybe they bought it
now,
way out.
yeah.
of
Now,
maybe
what
they
that
did.
cost them and how does that get conveyed to you? But
Right.
I think going back to the point where you're talking about interest rates, is somebody just going to see that and think that they're saving
I were
money
buying-
or whatever it may be?
If I were buying a home today and I knew I couldn't, let's just say you're buying a home today and it was 4 months until it was out, I'd be buying myself a long-term lock.
Yep.
Because I'm going to tell you something, the rates are we are going to be, we are tapping on the door of 6% and it's right around the corner. We are.
Yep.
No matter what anybody thinks. But
Well, I know a lot of the builders are working on that. The lenders that they work with are working on locks for 180 days or up to a year because they know
Absolutely.
that that's the only way they can. Well,
That's how they're going to drive their.
Well, the only
market.
thing too is they don't need to have their buyer walk at drywall stage or when the house finishes.
Well-
I can't even afford the house now because my rate changed so much.
But some of these big time builders, okay, you're talking like Old Town, Estridge Builders, some of these guys, they're doing construction perms and they're with the right financial institution where they can lock these in for 180 days, maybe a little bit longer. And then after that, it's so much per month. So the pressure's on them to get the home done, but also at the same time, you're protecting your customer so they don't get sticker shock at the end of in the middle of the game.
Puts a little bit more skin in the game for the builder.
Well, I think it does, but the builders have had a really tough time getting this information. It's not only wood they can't get; there's a lot more that these guys can't get, and that just happens, But
I think, like, to circle back to the builders real quick, I know that there's been some, at least with some of my clients, there's been some frustrations with builders and things like that, and I think that's somewhat of an unfair light because
I do too.
After 2008, I mean, they took huge hits, right? I mean, they have had to make the concessions, and it's not that they're not making concessions, they're adjusting to the market just like everybody else. Right. It's just because it's a different type of scenario, expectations are different, and those are the conversations.
But the one thing I'm going to speak for, I'm not going to say the builders' names, but there's some good builders out there that are going to deliver.
Yes.
I mean, they're going to
Well,
deliver.
they just need to adjust as well, and they need to adjust because they need to have a finished house that is going to be done on time, and the buyer's going to be able to buy it. If these rates continue to go the way they are right now, if they're not locked, that house when it finishes is going to be so much more for the
telling
monthly payment. So
we get phone calls all the time.
Yeah, the rates right now. I mean, they over 6 today. What did you?
Well, we're tapping on the door at 6. I mean, they're getting up there. You're talking about subject to credit score, loan to value. You can be anywhere from 5.375 on up to almost 6%. But it's there. I'm not going to say 6, but it's tapping on the door 6. Okay, so let's talk about one other thing. In this market, you guys are going to get back to doing inspections. Okay, and tell me what's going on in the inspection world with a purchase right now.
So personally, I never got away from
No,
them.
no. We've said that a few times. We don't not do inspections, but I think it's, again, like I said.
I can ask for more.
Yeah.
I mean, so I instead of educational purposes only, like I'm getting repairs done at this point. I really am. And I'm not getting kickback against it either. You know, I think there's fatigue across the board.
Sure.
And I think sellers have actually, they've either experienced it or they know somebody, a friend or family member who's been on the buying side. And I just think it has gotten a little bit more palpable for, amicable situation.
Well, I will say, back to my example of this past Saturday, was just a lot of information, a lot of things happening as I was going around. And 2 of those 8 said as is only. And I will tell you, out of the ones we were looking at, those 2 were 7 and 8, and just their minds right off the bat, they're like, why would I even do this? I have others to choose from. So there were sellers out there saying, I'm not going to do anything for my house. I want to sell it as is. You know, it's a buy or seller's market, so I don't need to do any work to them. Well, we had a lot of choices on Saturday, and they didn't want to deal with an as-is home. So I don't think that that's something that people should ever have been doing, because it protects the seller to do that too. You don't want to have a buyer come back and say, what were you hiding 30 days from now? We just found out this. Is that why you wanted to sell as is? It's not safe to do that as a seller, but also buyers now have more choices. So I don't think that that's going to be something we should be seeing much of as much as we were before.
Right. Like I think it comes down to just agents as professionals, you know, educating our clients. Specifically, I think we're pivoting to educating sellers even more right now. You know, as is used to kind of have a different connotation of what kind of property you're buying. It definitely wasn't a $600,000 house in Carmel, right? You know, it was more of a house that needed a rehabilitation or something like that.
There were issues.
Yeah, there were issues.
You know, so you always go, well, what are those issues?
Like we already know them, and so just like
look at the seller's disclosures to see what the as is. Now it's just like it's a mentality of a seller's. I'm not doing anything. I don't have to. It's a seller's market. But buyers, I don't think, are going to be putting up with that anymore. They have choices today.
Yeah.
Well, hey, let's kind of wrap the show up today. But it looks like in the Hamilton County and Indianapolis market, we got a lot of houses for people that have choices to look at. And, of course, that makes a little bit more work for you guys because, like you said, Shelley, you showed 8 homes the other day to some buyers. And then, of course, Kyle, you've got a team, and I'm sure their clients want to see more than one home. And I just think that's going to change the dynamic of this playing field for the next, I'd have to say, 60 days, big time. I mean, people got to buy homes. They got to get in them. We're going to blink our eyes, dudes, and school is going to be starting.
Well, we are in the summer market. We keep saying it is a cyclical seasonal market here in Indianapolis. So we are at the height of everything happening.
Yep. Well, you're right. So, hey, thank you, Kyle from FC Tucker, Shelley Walters with EXP. I appreciate you guys coming in. Justin Griffith with Keller Williams. Can you do his voice for me for a minute?
Hey guys, this is Justin.
Justin's not with us today. Kyle, stay in the real estate business, please.
Yeah, and I need to grow about 8 inches.
At least. I know it. But anyway, thank you, everybody. We'll be on the show next week, and have a great week.
Have a great day and a great week.